Let's face the reality, there isn't enough wisdom on social media today. There isn't quality messaging to help young adults and adolescents take comfort in knowing that they're not alone in overcoming adversity, whether it be bullying or fighting their inner demons. Bullying is a subject that I know all too well, as my youngest was severely teased and bullied having Tourette's growing up. Hello, my name is Yogesh Patel, host and creator of the Yog Nation, the Spirit of Gratitude podcast that focuses on bullying, self-awareness, and our inner spirit.
Join me every week as I have heartfelt and authentic conversations with high-profile guests, sharing their own wisdom and experiences on these topics, and how gratitude ties everything together. Welcome to the Yog Nation, the Spirit of Gratitude podcast on the One2Gration platform. Hello friends, my name is Yogesh Patel, and this podcast focuses on bullying, self-awareness, and our inner spirit, inviting high-profile guests to share their experiences on these relevant topics. And in this episode represents a milestone in this very young podcast. Today, I am so honored and so thrilled to welcome Amy Truesdale, my first international guest here on the podcast. She is representing the United Kingdom in this year's Paris Olympics as a Paralympian athlete competing in Taekwondo. Being a world champion, she took bronze in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, and now she has set her sights on gold in the City of Love. And maybe when this podcast airs, she will have just achieved that. Amy, lovely to welcome you on the podcast.
Lovely to be here. Thank you for inviting me on.
Absolutely. Amy, could you tell us a little bit more about how you started your journey in martial arts?
Yes, so I've been doing martial arts for a very long time now. I started at the age of 8, which was 27 years ago. So I'll let you do the maths how old I am. The reason why I started, my parents just felt it was a really good idea and that I had a life skill, which would be how to defend myself. And so they just thought the world's not necessarily a safe place. They had myself and my sister. So having 2 daughters, they just thought, if we can teach them a valuable life skill, get them to be active, integrate with different people. That was the main focus of why they wanted me to start martial arts.
Wow, incredible. And could you tell the citizens of Yog Nation, I guess now global citizens of Yog Nation, what makes you a Paralympian athlete?
So yeah, it was a long journey into becoming a Paralympic athlete. So I was born with my left hand missing. However, I'd always competed against able-bodied athletes for over 20 years. So it was in 2009 that I was actually presented the opportunity to fight against people with the same impairment with myself. I decided to accept the opportunity because I'd actually never come across anybody that also did Taekwondo with an arm like myself. So that's how I got into the Paralympic Taekwondo pathway.
Were there any limitations competing against or sparring against, say, the other able-bodied martial artists in the studio?
I think not particularly, no. I think when I was a youngster, because that's the only life I'd known being in a mainstream like martial arts studio, I didn't really know any different. For me, if I was to think about it now, I suppose when you are in a combat situation, somebody with 2 arms possibly can protect and cover their body a bit more, so that can make it a little bit more complicated for kicking certain target areas. But apart from that, no, not really.
Interesting. So were you ever bullied as a result of your condition?
So when I was a child, I wouldn't say I was bullied. I think any sort of prejudice would have occurred as an adult, so probably in my 20s, which is quite strange because I think people expect it to be at school, but I think at school, because I did martial arts, everyone was like, oh, this is the Taekwondo girl, and I think it was quite a cool sport to do.
No one wanted to mess with you, right?
Yeah, it was always that sort of joke. It was just like people would like nickname me Van Damme, or they'd nickname me like by my surname. But I think as I got into my 20s, I think um, for me, what I experienced was other people would put limitations on you as an individual before actually getting to know you. So that was probably a little bit frustrating in my experience of it.
Not come to terms, but how did you, I don't know, how did you address that?
I think years ago I would probably like I'd be quite quick to react, but I think, with a bit more growth and a bit more maturity, you need to use that to educate people. I've got to remember there's a lot of individuals out there that would never have any interaction with somebody who's got a disability. So I think I need to fuel that in order to educate these people, and just to encourage them to not make assumptions and actually get to know me as an individual before you put limitations on my capabilities.
You mentioned the word disability, and I don't view it as a disability at all. In fact, I just think that every person on earth, whether they have a disability or not, has just different abilities that you grow, you nurture, and you cultivate. So I don't like to use that word in that manner, but it's more or less, again, that different abilities aspect. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think it is a different ability, and like I do use it a lot on my social media. I do say it is your ability, not your disability, that matters. Um, because I do think, yeah, you shouldn't define you as an individual. I think you should focus on what you can do and what you are capable of doing, and just showing it doesn't matter if you have got a different ability. It's more like a superpower of what you can achieve.
Right. No, that is so true. I mean, I believe that one of my superpowers is kindness, and I guess going back to the bullying, I mean, kids growing up bully others, and I just still can't quite grasp how adults can bully others, given their own life experiences and what life has taught them in their 20s or even 30s. But is there some sort of formula? I mean, I know that's a lot of it is education and awareness, but is there something else when it comes to helping people understand and have more of that empathy gene come out of them?
Oh, that's a tough question, really, because I suppose it depends on the individual. If they've not really been in diverse groups, or you haven't really interacted, or you're in a location where you're not around those certain people, you are going to be quite closed off and quite sheltered to like a very diverse. And for me, I think it's amazing. I feel very blessed that I'm in a situation where I can mix with people from all different sort of backgrounds and abilities. But I suppose if you're quite closed off, that can be a shame, because then you're not aware of the people. So I suppose if you could interact with people and get to know them a bit more on a personal level, that would be advantageous.
What's it like competing on a world stage like this? I mean, it's just do nerves kick in, or I mean,
Yeah, I think you'd be lying to say that you weren't nervous every time. I think you still get nerves, but obviously nerves and excitement are the same thing. It just depends how you perceive it. But yeah, I still get nervous, but I still feel really proud, and I still enjoy it every time that I go out and get the opportunity to do it.
so what do you do to calm your nerves down? Is there perhaps a student creed from the studio that you carry with you in your heart, or
I think for me, I think it's just going back to like a breathing technique, make sure you're grounded and present in the environment that you're in, and then just go back to logic of what your game plan is and how you're going to execute it. So I'd say breathing techniques and just being focused on the job in hand, really, and how you're going to do that.
do you do that bare feet on grass?
I'll usually be in an arena at the time, but no, that would be even better to amplify it even more. So yeah.
Well, the only reason why I ask is because certainly you're grounded with Earth and all of its energy and all of its magnetism. Uh, this is amazing. So, given the fact that you were never quite bullied, you always had that internal determination in you, the grit, the motivational speaking that you do to inspire young kids, probably not even just in the UK, but hopefully in media like this, right? Hopefully there's someone that's listening in a quiet corner of their room reflecting. I mean, perhaps they may not have a limb, but they're going through other struggles, in their journey of life. What do you say to them? I mean, if you were to directly speak to another adult or another kid that's looking at some sort of inspiration, or maybe not inspiration, but a nugget of wisdom that they can internalize. I mean, you are an athlete, but taking that athlete cap off, right, in terms of just knowing the individual or talking to the individual, what do you say?
Oh, I would say that Oh, there's loads of things really. I'd say like if you're in like a bad place, I suppose, or you're feeling a bit not 100% about yourself, I'd say like feelings do pass and it will change. Like you're not always gonna, like nothing lasts forever. So on the flip side, even if you're full of joy and you're happy and you've got that celebration, that feeling's not gonna last forever. So I think just be aware of that. Um, and I think my main advice would be just to seek guidance, get a mentor, ask people questions. I think sometimes when you meet someone who's quite inspiring or who's done something, I've seen it with kids before, they're quite shy and they think, oh, that's a silly question, I won't ask. And I'd encourage them to ask the question because for me, like success leaves clues. So if you're speaking to someone successful, they're giving you the answer of how they've done it, and that's only going to help you further. So just get as much information as you can. Just use people to get, because there could be something very small that somebody tells you and you think, oh, I can incorporate that in my life, and that might really fuel yourself or your performance. So yeah, just get advice from whoever you can.
I've never heard that term before. Success leaves clues. Given what you've learned and your own journey in life, is there anything that you would go back and reflect and give yourself, like the younger you, what advice would you give your younger self? Having all of these, yeah.
Yeah, the same as what I'd probably give to any youngster. For me, I'm like painfully hard on myself. I don't give myself enough credit. So that'd be one thing, not to be hard on yourself. I think comparing yourself to other people, I've done that, and that's not good because everyone's so different. Everyone's on a different journey. So don't compare yourself to other people. And yeah, just focus on yourself and focus on your strengths and enjoy the whole thing.
And it takes years or months, if not years, to finally internalize this. So that I would also add, be patient with yourself.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm still working on things now. Like last week, I was very nervous about the competition coming up, and yeah, it was a mental struggle for me last week. But this week, I've had to try and really work on it and going into a positive mindset. So it's a continuous thing. That you just have to work on all the time because your mental resilience, that's paramount. And I know for myself, I've got to continue working on it, especially in high performing sport.
But I think that's where the breathing comes in, as you alluded earlier, staying present.
Yeah, I think that is a key thing. I think as an athlete, I know myself, I've probably focused too far in the future, which hasn't served me well. So just being present, I think that helps you stay within the moment and actually enjoy what you're doing, and then you're not thinking too outcome driven and you're not thinking too far ahead. You can just focus on the present moment and the processes in order for you to get closer to the outcome.
I'm pausing because there's just a moment that I just wanted to bring that energy and bring that spirit, right, for you on the format. And so, if there's anything that I or this podcast or the listeners, right, could do to support you, I mean, I know that I'm from the United States, you're United Kingdom. I'm sure there's Paralympian athletes, but we all win together um, at, the end of at the end of the day. What's it like representing your country, man? That must be such a tremendous honor. Um, and tell us about some of the experiences you've had, perhaps at Buckingham Palace or getting a personal letter. That's just so cool.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's cool. I suppose, like, because of Tokyo, like, we didn't really get the full experience. So after Paris, it will be the full experience. We didn't stay in the village for Tokyo, and we were indoors. Pardon? Yeah, yeah. So this time it's going to be so different. It'll be a true experience. However, after Tokyo last time, we did go to the Houses of Parliament and with other athletes that had medalled in Tokyo, so we got to meet a few individuals there. Um, but apart from that, nothing too much. I feel like this time it's going to be, because there's no restrictions, we will get the full experience, and I'll probably have a lot more stories of cool things that I've got to do.
In final closing, Amy, is there anything that I didn't ask or I didn't that you wanted to bring attention to? Again, you come with a successful athlete, a very powerful voice, a leader in so many aspects. Is there anything that you wanted to say that I didn't cover today?
I think the only thing I would say is like whatever you do in life, just make sure it aligns with your values. So as a martial artist, it's we have to be courteous, you have to be respectful, integrity, perseverance. So I think if you adapt that into your everyday life, I think you won't go far. So just make sure your values do shine through in whatever you decide to do.
Beautifully stated. Amy, all the best. And again, even though I bleed red, white, and blue, but UK is also bleeding red, white, and blue. Best of luck to you, Amy, and all the best.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Bye for now.
Bye.